Hey everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today I'm asking the question, or at least I'm going to be questioning about impact in your games and how easy it is to say, it's not my fault. It's not my fault that I lost this game, it's the team's fault. It's definitely a crutch that you can rely on, and I found myself doing it recently, where I'll blame the team for this loss when I'm sitting there probably having not had the most impactful game. Now, I'm not saying that it's not sometimes the team's fault. It definitely is. I'd say there's probably 1 in 5 games that, towards tier 10, that nobody could be able to win playing solo inside World of Tanks. 1 in 5 games are simply uncarryable. That's the nature of playing a game when you are with 14 other players against 15 other players. That you can't win 1 versus 15, right? It's just simply not possible towards the top tiers, maybe towards the bottom tiers in certain tanks. But look, my most frequently asked question probably of all time is like, how can I get better inside World of Tanks? Now, I'm not going to talk about all of the different ways in a single video, because if I could do that, then everybody would be a unicorn and my channel would only require 1 single YouTube video, right? But what I will do is make one fundamental statement that everybody has to accept if you want to get better, specifically in World of Tanks, but also in quite a lot of different areas of life. And that is that you are the only constant inside a team-based game. Like World of Tanks, you are the only constant outside of playing in a platoon, outside of all of the different tanks you use, outside of if you fire gold rounds, outside of how and what you set up your equipment and whether you get all of the different advantages, that you are the single constant. And a player who is exceptionally good will be able to get maybe 80% wins in 1 tank, whereas a player who has practically no impact in the game might only be able to get, say, about 30%. And so where you end up on that scale is down to your impact in the game. Now, it's very important to realize that you being a constant, while that's a given, it's incredibly important to remember that if you look at maybe 1 evening of World of Tanks, maybe you play over a 5-hour session, your win ratio is not going to be representative as your impact in a player. Sure, maybe you were able to win that 1 extra game out of 10 compared to another player, and that really is where your win ratio is going to be about 10% better overall on your account, right? I digress, let me focus on the point. And that is that over a single evening, you won't get an idea of what your impact will be. But over 1,000 games or 10,000 games, you definitely start to see how well you are playing and how well you are able to push the games that were marginal to being a victory for your side. And so the reason why I state this is because that is the first thing that you have to accept. Because honestly, there are players out there, and if this is you, I'm really sorry, but it's just the truth, who really think that win ratio is completely random over 1,000 games. It's really not. It comes down to the impact of the player. If I was to start a new account and I couldn't get, say, like a 50 or a 55% win ratio after 1,000 games, then I would be doing something seriously wrong. I'm playing on my Plays for Free account now, and I'm playing in one of my favorite tanks, as you can see, because it's on my t-shirt. It's the Comet. And I can tell you one thing's for sure. The Comet on my free-to-play account has been a lot more painful than my Comet on my pay-to-win account. I'm really noticing the difference with view range, something that I talked about on my UDES video a week ago. But still, even without the top gun on the Comet, we're going to see what we're going to be able to do in this game. I'm not using the 77mm that the Comet can use, but it's the 75mm that you will be used to on the Cromwell. So to all intents and purposes right now, I'm kind of just a Cromwell that's a little bit slower but with better gun depression, so I want to try and use it. I've really been noticing that when you have to play against tier 8 heavy tanks like this, the penetration is just not enough. Alright, so I'll set the scene. I'd been having an evening where it was just an absolute nightmare, and I was losing, and it was during a 5 times experience event. And of course, during 5 times experience event, you want to win. You see that clock ticking, tick tock, tick tock. You see your time on your premium account slowly disappearing, and you're not able to get your wins. Maybe you got to go to dinner. Maybe you want to go out and see some friends. You've got an hour left, and you're just not getting this 5 times experience wins. Well, yeah, it was happening to me, and I was feeling that bonus just start to slip away, and it definitely was starting to make me very tilt. So if there's one thing that I would recommend more than anything, that is, when you play World of Tanks, don't play World of Tanks to try and complete missions. Don't play World of Tanks because, oh, it's 5 times experience weekend. Sure, invest a little bit more time, but don't worry so much about the wins, because they will drive you mad and they will definitely affect your performance. But let me focus on what my point is. That I'd been in a serious bad run of games inside this game. or a bad run of games on that evening, and then I found myself in this round, you know, not the top tier tank. I wouldn't say the worst kind of map for a Comet, but there are definitely better kind of maps you can use for a tank with 12 degrees of gun depression. But this was kind of that stand. I had this moment where I realized that everything was looking bleak. I get rushed by tier 8 heavy on the Renegade, and then now this second tier 8 heavy's trying to go after me. And I realized, well, with this account, I'm not going to be able to pen his lower plate unless I fire gold. So instead, I'm trying to play as free to play as I possibly can. So instead of trying to just penetrate his lower plate maybe 50% of the time, why not shoot his tracks, lock him in place, and hopefully get another tier 8 heavy tank completely destroyed there. That is a huge impact for any tier 7 medium tank to be able to shut down 2 tier 8 heavies. That's the kind of impact that you want to have. If you can have that kind of an impact, you're definitely going to be pushing your win ratio much higher than it would be. Or obviously it's all relative, right? Win ratio comes down to the player. Obviously we've talked about the different tanks you play and so on and so forth. But really, these moments inside this game was completely game-changing for the way that I felt that evening and for my entirety of my play session. This game was kind of you just kick back. You kick back at bad luck, or you kick back at bad matchmaking. And this really shows you what you're sometimes going to have to do in your low-tier tanks, in your low-tier stock tanks, to be able to get those wins. And honestly, it's that 1 in 10 games, or the 1 in 10 games, that you're able to switch into your team's favor. That's the difference between having 50% win ratio and having 60% win ratio, or having 60 and 70, or even maybe just pushing up your 45 to 55, right? So that's really what you've got to try and do. You've got to accept responsibility. Try not to blame the team. Don't try to fall into, it's not my fault. I quite often have been doing that recently, and it's something that I'm going to have to fight back against. It's definitely something that I also do in life a lot. I don't blame other people. I always blame myself. I think I could have done this better. I could have thought that through cleaner. I could have performed better in that situation. And I think that is something that's led to me to be able to do a lot of different things in my life, and to do them at an okay level, I guess. I don't know. Does anyone else feel like that out there? I wouldn't ever call myself like a perfectionist. No, not at all. What I'm trying to say is that when I make my mistakes, I definitely try to accept them. And I think by accepting the mistakes and by accepting responsibility, it allows you to learn from it and allows you to improve your performance. And I think that that's what I've had to do, really, to try and keep on top of my World of Tanks game, to try and keep pushing it a little bit further. And it's something that I definitely want to do now that it's 2020 in this new decade. And I think it's probably one of the only things I possibly can do if I want to keep progressing inside World of Tanks, rather than just stagnating and kind of kicking back and having a little bit of fun. Now, I definitely enjoy doing that, but I also want to try and keep competitive inside the game. And while I do play this for fun, and I think that it's more of an arcade fun kind of game, rather than a simulator or a super try-hard competitive game, like maybe CSGO or League of Legends. If you want to play those two games competitively, I think they're going to be a lot more meaningful than World of Tanks. It's definitely still something that I want to try and work on this year. Alright, so the Comet. We managed to take the hill, and now we're going to load high explosive rounds to see if we can penetrate this Borsig right into the back of the turret. We're min-maxing right now, 169, 191 there. And we fire one blind into the back of the turret. That definitely damaged him. And the third one didn't quite kill him. Maybe it didn't penetrate. Will the next one? There you go. Bang. Another tier 8 vehicle shut down. Our 4th kill of the game, now up to 2,000 damage and 2,000 spotting. Against pretty much the majority of the damage has been against higher tier tanks. So I sat there thinking, well, if the Leo's going to hit me, maybe the Leo will have the 300 alpha damage gun, and if he does, well, how often can you say that it's just not the right thing to do to sit there and farm a Borsig, a higher tier tank destroyer that can't quite catch you at that point? Felt like I had to commit. We can see that our Pantera was not very healthy. We could see that our Scorpion and our Type 4 Heavy were not in that situation. It was definitely a little bit risky to stay there spotted against the Leo, but I knew that the Jagdtiger wouldn't be able to catch me from his position. So right now, having won the hill, having made our way around the map, we are so close to turning our evening around. Is this going to be a heartbreak that completely kills our momentum and stops us from being able to progress? Well, we're going to have to see. So we've got 2 armor-piercing rounds left. There's one into his tank, and there's the second one right into the side of the turret. So as soon as I fired there, I decided to lurch forwards because I thought I was going to be spotted by the Leo, and then the Jagdtiger would be able to follow up. Luckily, because I pulled back far enough behind the bush, the Leo was not able to see me when I shot through the bush, and so we kill him cleanly without getting spotted. And now we can turn our attention towards the Jagdtiger on the enemy team, a tank destroyer 2 tiers higher that is on 3 kills. And we're going to slowly work our way along this bush line. Now you can do this in your light tanks, you can do this in your medium tanks, you can do this in all of your vehicles. However, when there's an E50 and a 430 who look like they got locked in Mortal Kombat in front of my tank, then I can't really manage to squeeze my way through here. If I go this way round, maybe he's going to be there. Maybe he's going to be hiding in this bush row. If he does, he'll be able to spot me. Alternatively, I guess I could go this way round. In retrospect, this would have been a safer way to venture. If I'd gone this way round the E50, then I could have snuck, still used the bushes, and I could have kept advancing. I don't know what the Scorpion's doing on my team. I guess he's just wanting to cap, probably because he wants to win this battle, and I think that's a good solution. But seeing how we have a big fat Japanese heavy in the form of a Type 4 making their way towards the Jagdtiger, why not just relax? Why not just chill? There's no point in advancing right now because I can just let the Type 4 Heavy take the hit. He can take 3 hits, possibly 4 hits from this Jagdtiger. So the worst thing that I could do would be to rush in right now, because if I rush in, maybe the Jagdtiger will be able to find the Type 4 Heavy without me being able to assist him. And then I leave it in the hands of the judges as to whether we're going to win this battle. So you can see that now I know that the Type 4 Heavy is in position. I actually thought, well, why don't I go around the left of this E50 and I can maintain my position in the bush. I'm not going to get spotted by the Jagdtiger. And I'm really surprised that this guy is not lit up right now. There's very few locations this Jagdtiger could be, considering that he would have spotted, the Type 4 would have spotted the Jagdtiger here. So that means that he literally must be in these bushes between me and the Type 4 Heavy. And again, this is one of the biggest differences between my pay-to-win account and my free-to-play account, the view range. And oh my word, what a round, boys and girls. Can you believe it? The Comet just absolutely smashed this on my free-to-play account. Yeah, it's good to be rocking, even on a brand new account, without all of my pay-to-win advantages, without having the Top Gun on one of my favorite vehicles. So this was an ace tanker for the 1,481 base experience points, 2,481 damage is not the highest, but considering it was against tanks 1 or 2 tier higher than us, yeah, that's a great result. Add to that 2,000 spotting and the 6 kills to secure the Top Gun, and we even made a profit without a premium account, as this game was played on Christmas Eve. So we also get ourselves a Nichols medal, an unusual one, for destroying at least 4 enemy vehicles or tank destroyers with a medium tank in one battle that are 1 tier higher than us. It's quite a hard one to get these days, considering how few higher tier tanks there are in even the worst possible matchmaking. So it's not my fault. It's something that's very easy to say, and it's something that I would challenge all of you in 2020 inside World of Tanks to start saying a little bit less. Think that it's not about it not being your fault. Think more about what you can do for the game, what you can do for your team to be able to influence the battle. Because in the end, unless you're platooning, you are the only constant in all of your games, and your win ratio, if you care about something like that, is going to be completely down to the impact that you have in each of your rounds. But also remember, don't stress yourself out too much. It's a game. And the most important thing is to have fun, hopefully while you're winning at the same time, right? Anyway, ladies and gents, that's it for today. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. If you did, give the video a thumbs up. And if you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And if you're watching this video as it's released on Sunday, it's time for another World of Tanks Tech Tree Showcase on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby. And this week it was a close run between the AMX M4 MLE 54 and the TVP T50/51. But the French heavy frontal armored tank wins. And so come along right now as I showcase the entirety of the line, which also has at tier 9 the best tank, the best heavy tank tier for tier in the game, the AMX M4 MLE 51. So come along right now if you want to check out this tech tree, and also if I can get an ace tanker in the AMX M4 MLE 54, I will be so happy, because that's one that's still been eluding me. So let's go, let's ace it tonight. Come join me right now, and hopefully I'll see you soon.